What's up, everybody? Phil here, Playground Sessions YouTube channel. Thanks everyone for joining us today for another Wednesday. Here we are again, and I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about something that I've been experimenting with and trying to study for quite some time, and that is accompaniment style playing. Now, this is something that many of you may have been asking for years, maybe, and that's okay because a lot of people see the value in learning how to play the chords underneath a melody. Now, we pride ourselves on solo piano arrangements historically, but we're starting to open up more and more towards this idea of showing you how to play harmony underneath a separate melodic voice or instrument. And so, because you guys voted on this topic, it's currently #1 in our new user voice thread, by the way. And Andrew, can you post in the chat that bit.ly link for the new user voice YouTube voting thread? Wow, that was a mouthful. If you guys weren't here last week, I introduced a new format for voting on topics here for the YouTube Live lessons. And so Andrew's going to post that link. It's a free service. You got to sign up for an account, but it's free. And then you can vote on not only YouTube Live lesson topics, but also song arrangements within the interactive app, as well as new feature requests for new versions of the app, and so on. And so what I did was look at the top voted on topics in user voice, and I found that it was this: accompaniment style playing. So that's what we're talking about today. Now, before we get into what that means and what we're going to be doing specifically today, I got to check in and say hey to you guys. It's an active chat yet again, and so I want to see if anyone's got some questions that can help us steer through this topic for today. So first of all, man, Robert Atkins, what's up, my friend? Got back on the internet. I'm glad to hear it. Storm hit and knocked everything out. I hope that things are in better shape this week. Hey, Jamie Shirley. Hey, Rhonda Notter. Indianapolis in the house. Cool, cool, cool. And today may be your lucky day, Rhonda, for a free song credit. I have a feeling. Team Dixon, what's up, man? Or woman. Rhonda, Sarah Pickles, how you doing? Robert Atkins. All right, Lynn Stewart. Hey, guys. John Sandlin. Hey, Jennifer. Cleveland in the house. Woo! OH. Pat Sir. John Anderson. What's up? Greetings from outside of Chicago. Hey, I used to live in Chicago, John. It's been a while, but I love that city. Plinky Plonky. What if that wasn't someone's name in the chat and I was just saying that? No, Plinky Plonky. What's up? Hey, from I believe that's the UK flag there. Cool. I just like to see who's in the chat and shout you guys out for being active. What's up, Franklin? Regina in the house. Jamie Shilley. Jeanette Meets. All right, Jeanette is using user voice. That's what I'm talking about. Anybody else get in there last week and get your votes posted? Did anyone vote for this topic? Did anyone vote for a different topic? Let me know what you guys are thinking. Well, what I'd like for you guys to do in the chat today is to give me any and all questions, or even comments, but I'm going to prioritize questions about accompaniment style playing. And so, why don't we go ahead and start talking about this topic now? Let's get into accompaniment talking in general here, and I'm going to let you guys give a minute. I'm going to let you take a minute, excuse me, to come up with some questions about what does accompaniment style playing mean to you? What are your goals with that? And if you don't have any and you didn't vote for it, maybe you can just ask, what does that mean? I'm answering all questions. So accompaniment style playing is kind of self-explanatory in the name. You're going to be accompanying something else. When you have a solo piano arrangement, you're actually doing two, or maybe even more than two, parts at once, all right? So you may have heard me playing Lean on Me in the beginning of this stream. I was kind of showcasing the way that we would normally do that in a solo piano arrangement. And of course it had my little jazzy touch to it. But the thing I wanted to focus on is the fact that I was playing the melody in my right hand and some harmony in my left hand. Okay, so that's kind of how we normally approach stuff. Now, of course, that may be on the more advanced side. Even the rookie level Lean On Me in the app, we've got melody in the right hand, and we've got a simplified version of the harmony in the left hand. So what accompaniment style playing is, we're going to just be focusing on the harmony. And we're assuming that somebody else is covering the melody. Maybe it's a singer, lean on me, and then we just play harmony. When you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, right? Or maybe it's a horn player, maybe Andrew will pull his trombone out and start jamming with us. So either way, we're covering the harmony alone. And it does not mean necessarily that you're just going to take your right hand out and just play the left hand part. Instead, I want you to completely rethink this. What we're going to be doing as accompanists is playing two-hand harmony, okay? Now, of course, for those who are the rookie level, or even sometimes at the intermediate level, you can still do one-hand chord voicings. But what I love about accompaniment style playing is you can take a harmony that's typically just squeezed into your left hand and you can spread it across both. And so that's what I want to be talking about today. If I was not playing the melody in my right hand, then I could just play the left hand, but if I wanted to stretch that harmony out between two hands, I might do something more like this. So I bet some of you, most of you hopefully, still recognized that as Lean On Me, but we didn't have the melody. Well, what did we have in there? We had the harmony, which means not just a chord, but the progression, right? That's a recognizable progression, right? C major, D minor, E minor, F major, and then walking back down. And something that comes hand in hand with a progression is also going to be some timing or some rhythm or some form, right? You can't have a progression without knowing what do you play first, what do you play next, things like that. So that creates forward motion and momentum. So we also had that. We had our progression, which also included some time. And that rhythm of 1, 2, 3, 4 tied over is also pretty indicative of this piece. If you know the song, then that's going to jog your memory when you hear that rhythm. So the harmony and the progression, along with that rhythm that's familiar, it's obviously still Lean On Me, right? And so we definitely want to retain the feeling of the piece. That's what we want there. What we don't want to do is get in the way of the melody, all right? That's one of the key things about accompanying a melody, is we don't want to get in the way. We don't want to step on toes. We don't want to play notes or chords that are too close or too clashing or too busy with what's happening in the melody. So I'm going to play my accompaniment version of Lean On Me again, and I want you to listen for the space that I'm leaving. 1, 2, 3. Now, without an actual melodic voice or instrument, it's kind of hard for me to accompany, but you get the idea. I'm leaving space, and if you're singing along, in fact, everybody who's watching right now, if you know this song, sing along right now. I'm going to accompany you. Let's try this. 1, 2, 3. Lean on me. So, Obviously, I'm omitting the melody. That's lesson number one. We don't want to play the melody if there's somebody else or something else covering the melody. All right, what else do we want to do? Dynamically speaking, we don't want to be playing too loud all the time. We need to have some contrast, okay? And so you might notice that I play quieter when the melody is supposed to be singing. When the melody is kind of taking a break or there's a pause in the melodic phrase, I might step out a little bit more with my dynamics. Lean on me. Kind of exaggerating there, but if you imagine singing along, lean on me. Okay, I'm getting a little busy just to prove my point, but in between the vocal phrases, you can fill in a little bit more dynamically, and maybe some of the grace notes, some of the little ad-lib stuff that I'm doing as well. The key here is to not be too busy and to not step on the melodic toes, if you will. So that's just a little bit about accompaniment. Let's go back to the chat for a minute here, and I want to see what questions, comments, whatever else you guys may have. And I'm going to look to Andrew here to help me out because you guys are an active bunch today. And Andrew is going to float up some of the questions here to me that have to do with our topic for the day. Regina Benitez, how you doing? Regina asks a great question and tees this up nicely for me here. Regina asks, are you thinking of eventually in the near future to create an accompanying course in the app? Regina, yes, we are. And in fact, what I'm going to be doing later on in today's lesson is actually previewing a little bit of some of that. Okay, we're actively working on it right now, which means I'm shooting the video lessons. We've got our arranging team putting the notation together. Aiden, our star editor, is going through 40 plus hours a week of editing this stuff. It's a lot of content, and we're excited to serve it up to you guys soon. That's one reason that I wanted to really jump on this topic that you guys voted on, because it's the perfect opportunity to tease kind of what's coming next. So hopefully this lesson today plants the seed in you guys' minds that accompaniment style playing is worth checking out. So when the course hits, you guys will be primed for it. So Regina, hang tight for a little bit later in this lesson. I'm going to tease out to you and everyone else watching a bit of the new accompanying course. Now, it's going to be focused on a song, and it's going to be one of Quincy Jones's new artists' debut songs. It's a really beautiful song. She's got an amazing voice, and in the app, you're going to be able to play along with her while she's singing, even at the slow tempo. It's super cool. And I'll be covering a lot of the stuff that I touch on today in a lot more detail throughout that course. There's a lot of lessons. So Regina, stay tuned. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Joe Pan asks, I just said that like his name was Chopin. Joe Pan asks, so can we expect this change in the new app version? Okay, fair enough, Joe. That's a similar question. So this lets me know you guys are interested in this topic. Yes, we're going to have some more accompaniment style lessons, as well as songs that allow you to play the piano part underneath a singer in the backing track. And in fact, another song I'm going to pull up in today's lesson already exists in our song store. It's another one of Quincy's artists called Eli Teplin, and he's got a beautiful song called Writing on the Wall, which I'm actually going to get into in just a few minutes here as well. For those who are itching to get into this, jump into that first. See what you think. We've got it for all levels, and he's got a great voice as well. Okay, this is a great question. So Uncle Rabbit, what's up, my friend? Uncle Rabbit says, what are the differences between accompanying a singer versus another instrument? So this is a beautiful, beautiful question here. I mentioned a couple things up front kind of as a general rule for accompanying, right? One, we want to have some dynamic contrast, mostly on the quieter end. We don't want to overpower, we don't want to play Lean on Me like... right? We gotta take it easy, right? So part of it is also not being too busy. That applies to all instruments. I should say that applies to accompanying any instrument. The melody is king here, and so we don't want to get in the way. We're not doing a good job as accompanists if we're overpowering the melody. Now, your question, Uncle Rabbit, brings in another factor into accompanying, which is range. Okay, now I briefly mentioned earlier that if the melody is here, then we don't want to be playing too much in that range. I think the best case scenario for an accompanist is that we leave room for the melody with dynamics, but also in range. We don't want to fight in the same range as the melody. So what does that mean? Well, lean on me. If that's my melody that a singer is singing and it's in that range, I'm probably not going to play this. Instead, I might open my right hand up a little bit and come up here. Lean on me. So I'm going to get a little higher than that range, and I'm going to get a little lower to leave room for the vocal melody. So let's say that we have an electric bass player, and the electric bass player wants to play the melody. That would actually be super cool and unique. Now, if the bass player is playing down here, well, then you better believe I'm not going to be playing down here. Okay, why? Well, I don't want to get in the way of that range. It would sound pretty muddy. So if we're going to have a section of the song where the bass is going to play the melody down there, I need to make sure that I am listening as an accompanist, okay? That's another key element here. You got to be listening to what's happening in the part that you are accompanying. If the bass player comes in with the melody, then I should jump up here and do something more like this. Now, you have to imagine the bass down here because I don't have three hands, but the idea is that we want to get out of the way there. So I don't want to go too much deeper down this topic without talking about the actual instrument that we're accompanying, but suffice it to say, you need to consider the range of the melodic instrument, and you want to try and stay out of the way. So great question, Uncle Rabbit. Let's keep moving here. So Terrell Robinson says, is it accompaniment style, is jazz style playing accompaniment style? Okay, so I think if I'm reading your question right, Terrell, you might be asking, if you look at a jazz lead sheet, for example, where you see chord symbols and the like, is that accompaniment style playing? I would say yes to that. When you see a lead sheet or a real book style notation, typically you see chord symbols and you see slash marks, okay, and that means here's the harmony, you know, here's the general form, but you're not locked into a specific voicing or maybe a specific melody. Now, even in lead sheets, you are going to typically see a melody, and so I guess I would ask you to specify here, Terrell. But just as a general rule, jazz can definitely be something other than accompaniment style. You can play a jazz song with a melody on the piano. Let's see if I know one here. In honor of Chick Corea, one of the world's greatest pianists ever, who passed away recently. That was called Spain. We've also got that in the app as well. That's by all definitions in the jazz world, and there are multiple distinct melodies throughout that piece. Now, having said that, when you get to the section where typically jazz musicians would just repeat the solo section and take turns soloing, then your role changes. If you're playing piano and you're playing that melody, and then all of a sudden it gets to the solo section, now you become an accompanist. And let's say there's a trumpet solo or a flute solo. Okay, at that point, if I'm going to play chords underneath that solo, I now have to put on my accompanist hat, and I'm going to accompany the flute player. And then when the solo's over, we have to get back to, let's see here. Now I'm forgetting the song, but yeah, the idea is you get You get back into the melody and you're no longer an accompanist. So even within a song or within one performance, you can start with melodic material and then become an accompanist. You're really going to find that the most in jazz music, so I think you're on the right track. All right, I'm going to keep going. These are good questions here, and then we're going to get to our first song from the app that I'm going to show you here. Here's a question from, let's see here. I got a question here from John Sandlin. John says, you seem to be using block chords a lot. How much arpeggio would you do while the singer is singing? Would that be too busy and step on the singer, or could it be good? Awesome, awesome question. This is a perfect question to follow up on what I was saying, because you're absolutely right. When I say getting out of the way of the singer or the melodic instrument and not getting too busy, I don't want you to think that I'm limiting you just to straight up block chords, whole note rhythms, for example. It doesn't mean you have to keep everything simple. What I would say about arpeggios is I kind of put arpeggios in one of two different categories. One would kind of be like the multi-octave melodic kind of arpeggios, where I would do something like, right? That's kind of melodic material there. However, what I will say is that if you keep it simple and repetitive, then it becomes sort of an ostinato, sort of an accompaniment pattern, instead of a kind of a big attention-seeking melodic pattern. And I think a perfect example of this would be Adele's, I think it's Someone Like You. There we go, I'm figuring out as I go. Thank you, Andrew. I heard that you settled down and you found a girl and you're married now. Okay, so what I'm doing there is arguably all 16th notes, right? I think it actually is literally all 16th notes. Yeah. And you could argue that that would be really busy underneath a singer, right? Well, I believe that it's a wonderful accompaniment part for a couple of reasons. One is that the general harmonic progression is still, it's long, right? We got an A major chord, and it stays A for a while. Then we change. And the main reason, though, I think, is that the right hand arpeggio part here is repeated. I really think that's it. I don't want to overcomplicate it. I think if it was something like this, I heard that you settled down and you're, well, right notes and everything, but that's too busy, right? What makes it work is that it stays in one place, and the ear, the listener's ear, can get used to it staying in place. It's not adding new stuff. Right, that was jazz. Thank you. That was my jazz arrangement of Someone Like You. The major six and everything. So I really think that's a great example that illustrates my answer to your question, John Sandlin. And that is that if you keep it in place and you repeat it, then the ear can get used to it and put it in the background. And so why don't I go back to Lean On Me and show you how I might do that with Lean On Me. Lean on me. All right, I think you get the idea there. That, to me, does not feel too busy. Again, I think it's because it repeats, it stays in the same place. And lastly, I'm playing it very quietly. I don't know if you guys can tell, my left hand is actually playing twice as loud as my right hand. And I'll go back to Someone Like You to illustrate that one more time. Exaggerating a bit, but that's the idea, right? So I think what you need to think about there is that you're not playing a piano melody. Instead, you're playing piano chords that have a slight little rhythm within them. Okay, that's the difference of the mindset, I think. Great question, John. I hope that answers that. In the end, you still need to run it through your filter of, is this getting in the way of the melody? Is it leaving room for the melody? Is it distracting from the melody? Those are the questions you want to ask as accompanists. I'm going to get one more question in here, you guys, and then we're going to switch it up, and I'm going to play through some of the songs that we have in the app that will actually allow you to accompany some singers, okay? Let me see here. Let me just go through the chat here one more time. Charles Smith, good question, asking about rootless voicings in pop tunes. You know, Charles, I'll be honest, one of my weaknesses is not going to a jazz voicing. I'm not good at that. It's hard for me to keep it on the pop side, and I don't mean to say it in a way where it's like I have to dumb it down. I don't feel that way at all. I actually feel like the simplicity of pop style voicings can be really impactful, and I wish that I could kind of change hats like that, so to speak. So when you see me demoing stuff, I tend to go to more jazzy voicings. But no, not as a rule. I don't try and use rootless voicings. If I'm playing solo piano, and of course that means it's just me, then I'm going to make sure that I have roots or some sort of a bass part in what I'm doing. If I know that I'm playing with a bass player and that bassist is going to be covering the roots, then I won't make it a rule to play roots in my bass range on the piano, but I also won't make it a rule to not play roots. I probably instead would just make it a rule to stay out of that range, right? So here's how I would play a C major chord for Lean On Me if I was solo piano. I've got my roots down here. If a bass player was playing with me, and I know the bass player is going to be doing that, then I would probably play it like this. So right there, I'm playing the root, but I'm not playing the root on every chord necessarily, and I'm definitely not doing it down here. All right, I'm going to come back to the chat here in a few minutes, you guys, so don't stop asking questions. These have been great questions so far. I'm also going to have an opportunity for you guys to win a free song credit right now. Boom! I surprised even Aiden, and he still was with me. Look at that. Pop quiz number 1. So this is going to be an easy one for you guys. Name one thing that I have said so far today that is a general rule for a good accompanist. What are some things to think about? This is going to be easy, I hope, if you guys are listening. And there's a hint right there. The first 3 people who get a correct answer are going to win a song credit each. In the meantime, while I let you guys type in your answer, I'm going to play a little bit through the chord progression of the song that I'm going to pull up here in a second. Happens to be in the same key as Lean On Me. I love that progression. We're going to be getting into that in just a minute, you guys. Andrew, do we have any answers? Do we have any answers, first of all?
We have lots of answers.
Lots of answers. Okay, good. So this is kind of an ambiguous one, which I hope does not cause confusion. I hope instead that it lets you guys know there's many ways for you to win. And so I'm going to go through some of these answers here. Joe Pan says not too busy. Elton John says lower volume. I love books to read, don't play melody. Frank L.
Robert Atkins.
Sorry?
You missed Robert.
Oh, I missed Robert Atkins. Come on. So, sorry about that, Robert. Don't step on the other instrument. Frank L. Don't play melody on top of the singer. Jennifer, listening. Franklin, not playing too loud. Team Dixon, don't play over the melody. Mary Husebo, I hope I'm saying your name right there, Mary. Not too loud. Mike Anderson, hey, my dad's in the house. What's up? Hey, Dad. This reminds you of the session that we did with Matt and Holbrook. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's actually a good segue. I hope that we can do that again sometime, because in that setting, we're all kind of accompanying each other, and that's another kind of jazz mentality. Jeanette Meets, change the range. Rhonda Nodder, don't play too loud. Melody is king. Thank you, Charles. Don't step on the melody. You guys are listening. I love it. All right, so because I see so many correct answers, I'm going to give a free song credit to the first 5 unique answers. So, what does that mean? Let me go back to my... Okay. Robert Atkins says, don't step on the other instrument. Love it. Joe Pan says, don't be too busy. That's correct. Elton John, play quieter volume. I'm going to give you credit for that, Elta, but I want to just clarify that we want to get quieter when the melody is being played or sung. Not necessarily for the entire duration of the song, but rather when the melody is at the forefront. But you're still correct. I love books to read. Don't play the melody. That's correct. Frank L., you're right, but I think we've got that already. I'm looking for the first 5 unique answers. Jennifer, you're going to get the 5th one. Listen. You have to listen. That might even be one of the most important ones. You got to listen to what you're accompanying and then, of course, react accordingly. So those are our 5 winners right there, you guys. Everyone that I saw had correct answers, so great work. So once again, Robert Atkins, Joe Pan, Elton John, I love books to read, and Jennifer. I believe that's my friend from Cleveland, too. That's what's up. Ohio representing. Well, guys, actually, Aiden, give it a second here, because I'm going to switch songs over to the one I was just playing. I had one queued up, but we've spent enough time in the chat today, and I'm glad we did, that I'm actually going to skip that first song, and I'm going to go to the intermediate level of our song that we are in the middle of production on right now, and that is, let's see if I can find the right segment here. Here it is. That is a song called Grace by a brand new artist named Shalea. Now, Shalea is the newest, or one of the newest artists on Quincy Jones's label, Quincy Jones Productions. For those who maybe remember Eli Teplin, we had his song Writing on the Wall. Beautiful, beautiful accompaniment part underneath his vocals. I highly encourage everyone to check that out in the song store. But in the meantime, I'd like you to check out Grace by Shalea. And what I'm going to do is simply play through this really quickly. This is the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus. And I'm going to try and play through this. Hopefully I'll get 100%, but you'll get the idea that I'm playing 2-hand voicings for chords. And this is the intermediate level arrangement, by the way. What I was riffing on a few minutes ago was my take on the advanced arrangement, but you're going to recognize it here, I think, as the intermediate level arrangement. And I really want you to listen to the singer, Shalea's actual vocals here. It's such a beautiful melody, beautiful lyrics, and she's got a great voice. So I'm going to play through it once, and then I'm going to break down my tips on how to accompany in a situation like this. So, wish me luck, guys. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, set, go.
If I don't get it right every time.
Hey, 100%. Look at that. Well, guys, let me know if the sound was feeling a little crunchy there. And Aiden, maybe if I need to turn the volume down from here, it's at about 75% here. Maybe I'll bring it down to 50 here. That could help. But guys, I can't wait for us to release this for you guys. We've got this in all levels, and what I just played through was a bit of the intermediate level. I'm so excited to be putting this out for you guys. And even when we slow things down to a slow tempo, we're still going to have Shalea in our ears, being able to accompany underneath her. Now, bear with me here as I go ahead and swap to another level. I want to pull up the advanced level because there's going to be a lot more syncopated rhythms in the advanced level, and I want to talk through that as well. Now, I'm going to pull up the first verse. There we go. You may look at this and say, this looks really busy. How can we play this underneath a singer? And I'll get to that. But I hope that what you noticed was, at least in the intermediate level, we had whole note chords for a while, right? Actually, I'll just briefly talk about intermediate here. We got to the pre-chorus, and what we've done in our arrangement is we got into quarter note rhythms. So what we're doing there is essentially building the momentum, right? Leading into the chorus. We can do that with our volume a bit too. And then we're going to pause before the chorus, and then we can be a bit louder in the chorus. Now, those are some general rules of thumb. I'm going to play through the advanced verse here, and I'm going to do it at the slow tempo. I want to show you guys that Shalea is even present here at the slow tempo. And then I'm going to talk through what I'm doing at the advanced accompaniment level. Now, even if this is over your guys' skill levels, you may not be able to play the advanced arrangement. That's okay, because what I'm talking about applies across the board, and I think you're still going to be able to follow along here. So just go ahead and watch and listen at the slow tempo, and then I'm going to break down my approach.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, set, go.
There's something on my mind, but I'm scared to share it, 'cause you can't hit rewind. If I don't get it right every time, would you hold it against me or leave me behind? I'm just
Oh, you guys. Sorry, Shalea, I didn't get 100. You know, I don't think I held that tied chord long enough. That's all right. I think the point still stands here. So let's talk about what I'm doing in here. This is a really good lesson here, and this applies to any level. I mentioned it up front, but I'm really going to dive into it now. What I mentioned up front is that when the vocalist or the melodic instrument is actively doing the melody, we want to pull back. And mostly, I think, in rhythmically speaking, but also dynamically speaking. When the vocalist pauses, or when the melodic instrument pauses, or there's a break in the melody, we then can push into the dynamics a bit more. And I believe, especially in a song like this, where it's voice and piano, that the piano, in fact, should push in dynamically in those gaps. So it's a bit of a push and pull, a bit of a call and response. And so what I try to do here is play, I mean, it sounds simple, but play louder when she's not singing, play quieter when she is. And so I want to go through that one more time and kind of talk you through what I'm thinking dynamically in between these gaps. Check it out.
1,
See
2,
if I can get 100 this time
3,
too.
4. 1,
I'm going to start at a
2,
kind of a medium volume,
set,
and I'm going to listen.
go.
Quiet here, she's singing.
something on
Oops,
my
wrong chord.
mind.
Let me start that again. Too much to do
1,
at once here.
2, 3, 4.
So quiet
1,
while she's singing. Measure
2,
2, there's a gap.
set,
Check it out.
go.
There's something on my mind,
Pull this out, ready?
but I'm scared
Now
to
quiet.
share it, 'cause you can't hit rewind.
Louder here. And quieter.
If I don't get it right
Louder here.
Would you hold
quieter.
it against me?
Sorry.
Leave me behind.
Woo!
I'm just
Playing, teaching, and trying to do dynamics. Sorry, Shalea. But I hope that still came through, you guys. I tried to exaggerate it there. If you play as loudly as I did in the gaps while she's singing, it's really not going to sound good. In fact, I'm going to try that as a final step here to highlight this, okay? And then I'm going to get back to the chat. I'm going to play everything
One,
loud here. Tell me what
two,
you guys think you like
three.
better.
4, 1, 2, set, go.
something on my mind, but I'm scared to share it, 'cause you can't hit rewind. If I don't get it right every time,
If I don't get it right every time, you're telling me,
would
Shalea.
you hold it against me? Leave me be.
All right, so obviously that doesn't sound great. We can do better than that. It's not just an accompanist rule even. It's really just as a musician, we don't want everything to be at the same level. But we definitely don't want it to be at the same level underneath the melody, okay? Accompanists have to listen and react, and we have to get quieter than we think. All right, so full tempo, here we go. Full dynamics. And then I'm getting back to the chat. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, set, go.
There's something on my mind.
I keep wanting to go down to that octave.
1,
Here we go.
2, 3, 4, 1, 2, set, go.
There's something on my mind, but I'm scared to share it, 'cause you can't hit rewind. If I don't get it right every time, would you hold it against me or leave me behind? I'm
All
just
right, all right. One thing at a time. So dynamically speaking, I was happy with that. We can come out and push forward with dynamics in the gaps, and then we really want to pull it back, and I think that can be an effective tool as an accompanist. Elta John, I'm back in the chat here. Elta John, you're absolutely right. I love your comment. Singer sounds too far away when the piano's loud. That's exactly right. I don't want, as accompanists, I don't want us to be only thinking about our instrument. I want us to be thinking about the full, total sound of everything that the band is doing. So the singer's a part of that, and the singer's more important than we are in this moment. I know that might be hard for some of us to, to grapple with. But if you think about it like that, the total sound of the band, then yeah, we need to really recognize what that means. The singer has the spotlight, and the singer should be front and center. Therefore, we should pull back dynamically. You're right, Elta. Jeremy says 96. Oh, let me get this off the screen. What do you mean, Jeremy? That was 100. What are you talking about? Robert Atkins saying he looks forward to that course. I tell you what, Robert, I'm blown away at Shalea's talent, and her voice is really fun to play along with. What's also fun about the advanced one, I might add, is that there is zero in the backing track other than her voice. And so for people who are interested in reharm, I've had some fun playing along with some different chords underneath Shalea, but that's for another lesson. All right, I want to check in the chat here and see. I Love Books to Read says, are you looking at the notes or letter chords when you play? Fair enough. I'm looking at the notes, but I also kind of know what the harmony, what the progression is now, because I've been pretty deep in producing these lessons on this song. And what you'll find when you dig into it on your end is that sometimes we play it like this. Other times we play it like this. Other times we play it like this. There's just all sorts of different variations. And so I think what you guys were seeing was me kind of locking into a different version or a different part of this arrangement. But no, typically I definitely want to look at the notes here. Now, as a general accompanist rule, I definitely look more at the chord symbols because I want to have the option to play in different ranges and different voicings like we talked about. If I see a chord symbol that says E7, Well, I know that could mean this, could mean that, could mean that, could mean this, could mean this. There's all sorts of different things I might pull out on one chord symbol, depending on what I'm hearing from the melodic instrument. What else? What else? Oh, good question here, and I see Andrew as Playground Sessions already answered it. Yeah, no lyrics in the notation for this, but we may be able to supply a lyric PDF, for example, as we've done in past arrangements. But yes, in the app, we want to focus in on the piano parts, the fingering suggestions, all of that stuff. And typically, we've found lyrics can kind of get in the way. I'm just looking through the chat here for a last question or two here. Yep. You guys are right. You guys are really getting this. Robert, I love this. Robert says, if you get a wrong note, a ruler pops out of your CD-ROM and smacks you on the hand. Yeah, that's Playground 4.0 right there. A ruler comes out. Yeah, I love it. No, that'd be a lawsuit waiting to happen. Charles Smith, if I were accompanying the Cheers theme song, I think I'd use the intermediate level. Cheers. On the way to the world. How's it go again? Or I don't know what key it's supposed to be in, but yeah, hey, I mean, why not take any song, and what you really need to retain in the accompanying style is the harmony, which includes the progression, and any kind of rhythmic thing that is a part of the song. So I would argue that this thing is really just as important to this song as is to Lean on Me. So we want to keep that too. Otherwise, you don't want to play the melody. Good call. Yeah, I mean, I challenge anyone here to take a song you're familiar with, or maybe a song you're working on in the app, or otherwise, and try and see what an accompaniment version of that could be. You guys, this has been a fun topic, and I really want to continue talking about this, not just because we have this song with Shalea coming out, but also because we have Eli Teplin already in the app, and I see Jeremy Shilley asking, will there be more songs with singing in them? I really hope so, Jeremy. We want to open this up as kind of a new category moving forward, and it's a great opportunity for singers, right, to have their vocal part in our lesson experience. It would be super cool eventually to be able to get, I love the idea of having a Coldplay song where you get to sing play underneath Chris Martin. Of course, that's a different rights beast altogether. But yeah, we definitely want to move in this direction, not instead of the solo piano arrangements, but in addition to. Plinky Plonky, man, I love saying that name. Will the fingering still be included? Yes, it will. And Jennifer, do we have the Cheers theme song? That's a great question, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and go into user voice one more time. For those who maybe joined late, I'm taking all of our all the topic requests and the voting for the topics for these live lessons on Wednesdays. It's now happening exclusively in user voice. So I'm going to ask Andrew one more time, can you post that link?
Yes, sir.
I highly encourage everyone to get in, create a free account, and then you can vote on anything from YouTube live topics to songs we put in the song store. Hint, hint, Jennifer, if you want to vote on the Cheers theme song, and so on. All right, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I'm going to end things by playing through a bit of that Eli Teplin song. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the intermediate level arrangement in 1 second here. And I'm going to play that out as we go. But you guys, vote on next week's topic. And we're going to pick it, I think, by the end of the week, maybe Monday at the latest. So get in there and see what you guys want to do. And I'm going to try and pick the top voted one each week. I think that's going to be a good system. So I'm going to pull up let's go ahead and pull up the intermediate level of Writing on the Wall. And let's go to the chorus. This is a beautiful song. And Eli's got a great voice. So here we go, guys. I'm going to play this out. And I'll see you guys next week.
1,
5
2,
flats.
3, 4.
Uh-oh.
1, 2. 2,
Woo.
set, go.
Something to keep me from falling. Give me a reason to keep holding on.
What a voice.
Let me believe that this isn't for nothing, and I'll be fine. I had a real bad dream
Oops.
last
You guys, I played over the melody. I played over Eli. Forgive me, Eli. I'll see everybody next week.